What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. Today we're going to do a Diablo II Resurrected Build guide. This is on Frozen Orb and Hydra, which I think in my opinion is one of the best ways to farm Sunder charms, particularly as a sorceress. I'm going to show you my ladder character. This is obviously the Season 1 character, but the reason I'm going to load that up is because obviously it's only level 84, and also it basically means that I've only got the seasonal gear that I found playing up to that level. So every item in here, it's not like stuff that you're not going to find, stuff that's very, very hard. This is very much a kind of budget kind of build. Now, obviously, I have had some good drops, I've had some not so good drops, but I think it's useful to look at a character at this stage. I'll chuck some game footage up of us actually crushing some of the terrorized zones, which is the main reason why I think you would probably want to play this build, because obviously next season the terrorized zones are going to drop Sunder charms for ladder 2. They're going to break resistances, and you're going to want to get them because they're going to be absolutely great for blasting many areas of the game. So I guess just very quickly, for anybody who maybe doesn't know, hasn't been playing the game particularly recently, we do now have in patch 2.5 terrorized zones. So if we go to them, they are terrorized, the monsters are higher level, and basically they're harder to kill. They give more XP. I think they give better drops as well, because I think technically the monsters are all at a higher level. So when we pop out here, so these are all 86 level monsters now, because we're level 84. So all of these monsters that you kill, I think realistically can drop just better stuff, as in like it's like farming level 85 areas constantly basically. Now as of 2.5, the terror zones, we play them, we get the more XP, we get the better drops, but it's not going to be until the season goes live that we're going to start to get Sunder charms, and they will break resistances. So what that means is that you can build out your Blizzard Sorceress if you want to, and it will be able to farm everywhere because you'll be able to break cold immunity, which is obviously tremendous. You can make yourself a Hydra Sorceress because they have recently changed this so that Sunder charms work with Hydra, so you can pump everything into that. Make yourself a Fire Sorceress, or you could do a Nova build with Energy Shield. Again, you just need the Sunder charm to break the immunity, just so that you don't have to farm up your Infinity, which is obviously pretty nice. Now, the way I see it is that it's going to be quite hard to get a Sunder charm. Don't get me wrong, if you trade or you play this game an awful lot, I'm sure you will find them. But if you're more of a kind of solo casual player, maybe you play a character up to, I don't know, maybe level 90, something like that, you really are relying on RNG to get one, and you don't know whether it's going to be a cold one. You don't know whether it's going to be a lightning or a fire if you're playing a sorceress. So you don't know whether you're going to be speccing up Blizzard, a Nova Sorceress, or a Fire Sorceress. You're just not going to know. Now, initially, normally speaking, what happens is once you beat Hell, unlock the Terror Zones, you will build either one of these builds, a Blizzard, a Lightning Sorceress, are generally the two popular ones. You'll then farm just the same area over and over and over again, looking for gear. Now, personally, I find that very boring. I like playing different areas, so the Terror Zones for me are a really good change. But the issue you've got if you do make yourself a Blizzard Sorceress as normal on a season is that when you come to these Terror Zones, you won't be able to do all of them, because you know, like we've just been out in the Pandemonium Fortress outside, and some of the monsters are fire immune, some of the monsters are cold immune, some of the monsters are lightning immune, and to get the Sunder charm, you're going to have to play every single Terror Zone, because you've got to give yourself as many chances to do it as possible. So a Hydra and Orb build, because it's got dual damage, because it's got cold and it's got fire, actually will really help you out, because it means that you don't have to skip any of the Terror Zones. Now obviously some are going to be harder than others, but because you've got this dual damage, it means that you can take on any of them. If you can take on any of them, not only are you going to get all those benefits earlier that we talked about, extra XP, better drops from the level 86 monsters, you're also then going to increase your chances of finding a Sunder charm, which then you can either trade or use on a build. So this is kind of like a build guide to show you the build to get the Sunder charms, and then you'll go off and you'll make, as I say, probably realistically a cold sorceress next season. You might go for lightning, you might go for fire, just depends on how you want to play. Now, this isn't going to be a full guide on how to level this from 0 up until here. I am going to do a Sorceress starter guide that will be out hopefully tomorrow or the day after, so I will go through in full how I would build it out. But from Nightmare onwards, you can respec and you can start building this. So I think if we just show you the skills that we've got and the advantages that we've got. Because Cold offers a brilliant advantage with Frozen Orb, because you can slow monsters when you attack with Frozen Orb. If they're not cold immune, they're going to be slowed. That's brilliant. It means that they're going to take more time to get to you, to whack you on the head. It's going to take more time for them to get to the mercenary to try and kill him. It's a really fantastic Frozen Orb. Hydras also have got a really good advantage in that you can just drop them down and then hide behind stuff. So you can go into a room, you can teleport in, drop 6 Hydras, they last 10 seconds, teleport out of the room, and you can just sit there and watch the Hydras blow stuff up for you. Both of these skills are ranged, so they're quite safe, because obviously a Sorceress is generally a little bit of a squishy character. But because you're at range with Hydra, because you're at range with Frozen Orb, because you've got the slow, because you've got fire range damage, it really does mean that you can mitigate a lot of incoming attacks just by staying the hell out of it. Now, generally speaking, if you get something that is cold immune, obviously it's going to be the fire Hydra that's going to do the damage. If you get something that's fire immune, it's going to be the cold that does the damage. If you get anything that is either not immune to both those things, so lightning immune, poison immune, physical immune, or just something that doesn't have any immunities, you are going to put out an awful lot of damage, because you can cast your 6 Hydras very fast, and then you can start whacking with Frozen Orb and casting one of those every second or so. And if something is not immune to both these elements, you will do an awful lot of damage. So don't get me wrong, even though it is dual element, there are occasions, there are areas of the game, and there are monsters you will encounter that you can absolutely destroy, because you're not relying on there's no immunity for some of the monsters, is what I'm getting at. So it still can do a lot of damage. The flexibility you're giving up, obviously, is you're not pumping everything into cold, making a Blizzard Sork. You're not pumping everything into fire, making a Hydra Sork. You're kind of tampering both of them down to have more flexibility. In terms of the skills, obviously you have to build down to Frozen Orb. So this means point in Ice Bolt, point in Frost Nova, point in Ice Blast, point in Glacial Spike, a point in Blizzard. And then we get to Frozen Orb and we get to Cold Mastery. Frozen Orb, obviously you want to max out with the 20 points. Cold Mastery, I've done a bit of research. It suggests you probably want to get up to about minus 130% cold resistance. You probably don't need it quite that high. This is certainly an area where some points could come out, which would be Cold Mastery. If we look at the fire tree, you've got to do Firebolt, you've got to do Fireball, you've got to do Enchant, you've got to do Warmth. All of those get 1 point, and then you're going to max out Hydra, and then you're going to do Fire Mastery. So Fire Mastery is just going to add damage to Hydra, whereas the Cold Mastery is going to take away enemy cold resist, not straight up buffing Frozen Orb. Now Frozen Orb's synergy is going to be Ice Bolt, and Hydra's synergies past the Fire Mastery are going to be Fireball and Firebolt. So what you're going to do as you build this is you're going to unlock the skills that you need, and then you're going to add points. So 1 to Frozen Orb, 1 to Hydra, 1 to Cold Mastery, 1 to Fire Mastery, so on and so forth. Again, there will be a full video on how to add your points as you go, and that is kind of how you're doing it. Out the lightning tree, always take a point in static field. This is very, very important for when you do come across something that is both immune to cold and fire. You will need to teleport to it, hit static field a few times to take its health down to about 50%, and then Mr. Mercenary is going to mop them up. But bear in mind that anything that is cold and fire immune, its minions won't be immune to both of them, so you will be able to just completely isolate down that one enemy. Now early on in a season, your mercenary might not be able to be strong enough to take out something that is cold and fire immune, so what you will have to do, I'm afraid in that case, is skip something. But you're going to be skipping a lot less monsters than if you just went straight into Blizzard after beating the game, and as I say, it gives us this flexibility to play with the terrorized zones. So if we have a look at our inventory, I can show you what we've managed to find just again on a playthrough. Spirit Sword, this is completely craftable, so at the end of beating the game on normal, go and do cows, find yourself a crystal sword. You can then take it to Larzik, use your socket quest on it. And then with the Talthal Autumn Amrune, you can get a Spirit Sword, so +2 to skills, faster cast rate, which is great, faster hit recovery, which is great. We then get Vitality Mana, some Magic Absorb, which are the useful things for us. Once you get to Hell, I farm the Mausoleum to find a Monarch Shield. You can either farm it repeatedly to find one that drops with 4 open sockets, or again you can just get a white one with no sockets and take it to Larzac. Other options to do a recipe in the cube, that will drop either 1, 2, 3 or 4 sockets. That's a bit annoying, it's about a 50-50 chance, so I don't tend to like to do that. Maybe in a new season, if you really wanted to save the Larzac quest, you could farm the Mausoleum as soon as you get to Hell over and over again, and then once you've got a few spirit potential bases of the White Monarch Shield, you can then have a cube upgrade session. But again, similarly, we're getting 2 to all skills basically is the main kicker here. So we've got a lot of faster cast rate, a lot of faster hit recovery, and +2 to all skills is obviously very handy. And because the build is dual elements, well, +2 to all skills is actually really powerful for us. In terms of chestplate, Smoke Nephilim is just almost essential, I think, for early Hell, because it just gives you all resist +50. This is the absolutely huge 20% faster hit recovery, which is nice as well. Some defense, which we don't really care about too much, but a huge bump to your resistances, and you are going to need them when you do get into Hell. In terms of the helmet, I was initially playing with a Lore Helm. So this is obviously, again, a craftable rune word. Autumn Soul, you should really have this by around about starting Nightmare. Lightning resist, +1 to all skills and some energy. That's absolutely fine. But obviously, once you do get into Hell, you really do want to be starting to do some magic find. So something like a Superior Mask with a triple topaz setup, which I've got here. I used this particular helm for absolutely ages. +64% to magic find, which is obviously amazing. Just stuff whatever topaz you have in there. Don't worry too much about it being perfect topazes, because finding a 3 socket Superior Mask is pretty easy, but just get your magic find up a little bit. If you can get any kind of upgrade on your helm, by all means go for it. So a Griswold's Valor is something that I just found. This has got a decent amount of magic find natively. 2 sockets, which I can obviously stuff in the topaz from magic find. It has all resistance and cold absorb, but anything, I mean, obviously you want a Shaco here, that's really your best in slot item, but being realistic, it's going to take a bit of time to find one of those, and you're not going to have it. So either just a standard magic find helmet, as we talked about, or something that you can get that is better. In terms of amulets, this is probably my best find of the season. I'm really stoked to find this. This is Talrash's amulet, +2 to all sorceress skills. Up until this point I was running just a +1 to all sorceress skills amulet, but obviously the benefit of the Tals is we get some life, we get some mana, we get a nice amount of lightning resist as well on it, but a single just +1 to all skills for sorceress would be fine. I've got so much stuff, I don't know exactly where it is, but it was just a blue amulet with +1 to skills. There we go, this was it. We used this for ages because it was just the best thing that we found. In terms of belt, you can either go a route of looking for something with plus skills on, you can go for a route of looking for something with magic find like a gold wrap, or you can go for something that has got lots of resistances on. I just happened to find a gold wrap. I like the magic find on it. I have upgraded this so that it has the 4 potion slots. Again, I've done a video way back when on how to do that, but just basically magic find on the belt is nice. In terms of boots, you're looking to pick up resists and magic find if you can. Obviously I have no magic find on these boots, but I do have 2 fairly chunky resistances. Again, I've had this item for absolutely ages on this playthrough. And same for the gloves. Realistically you're looking to pick up resistances and magic find. And then rings, again, magic find if you can, resists if you need them, a bit of faster cast rate to try and hit your breakpoint is absolutely fine. So this is for gear. We've got like what 1, 2, 3 craftable rune words, a fairly commonish belt. Wouldn't be the end of the world if we didn't have the magic find on here, because we could probably get some on our boots, or maybe increase this second ring here to be a magic find one. So all in all, a fairly easy setup to get, I think, once you do get to Nightmare. Now, in terms of the stats, we basically put enough strength up to 156 to wear the Monarch Shield. So you're probably going to have to respec when you get into Hell, because you're going to have to put a lot of points into strength. You don't want to put these points in there until you get to Hell, because it's just a huge waste. So don't put any points in this until you've found yourself your Monarch and your second Spirit. Nothing into Dexterity, nothing into Energy, and then obviously everything else into Vitality. In terms of the follower, which is pretty important, my follower's crap. You need an insight as soon as possible with Wizard, because obviously teleporting is very thirsty for mana. You've got lots of mana spending abilities. Ral Tir Tal Sol, pretty easy to find runes. You're just going to pick up every Vulge, every Scythe, every two-handed weapon that the mercenary can use, looking for 4 open sockets, just to get you going, because obviously the meditation aura gives you a huge amount of mana, which is really, really useful. Eventually you want Colossus Vulge, and that would give you a tremendous damage, because if you look at the damage on this, 29 to 73, you can get that up to like 300 or something like that on a max hit from the mercenary, which helps keep it alive, because his main source of sustain is going to be some form of life leech. Tarash's helmet seems to be probably the most common and easiest source to get, 10% life stolen per hit. So you could pump the mercenary's damage up a lot with a Colossus version of this. You know, Ethereal would be nice. 10% of all that damage would heal, and he'd have a much easier time staying alive. I'm struggling to keep him alive. You have to do a lot of teleporting, and he'll snap to you just to keep him. And then other than that, you're looking to max out his resistances. And if at some point you can find a better chest plate for him, you know, maybe he could have the smoke as and when you find something better yourself, or maybe there's something that you can do with just a flat absorb or flat damage reduction. Would obviously be handy, but this is just a fairly crappy armor with a few resists just to cap them out. Poison, obviously, as always, is the least important of the resistances, so as long as the other 3 are over 75%, you should be golden. Might Aura to do more damage, and then obviously that's the only thing you can kind of control with the mercenary. So all in all, I don't think the investment in this character is huge. Obviously the Tal's Amulet is the best thing that we've got, but you can just take 1 skill point down for that, and you would be absolutely fine. You know, ultimately, if you could find some other Tal Rasha pieces, that would be very nice, because you're going to get boosts to masteries, you're going to get boosts to skills. Helmet, open, gloves, boots, belt, rings, you can all find as you go, so this character is very, very easy to set up. In terms of charms, you do have a slight advantage with this build, because again, you're running dual element, so either a fire or a cold skiller is going to be helpful for you. I've just so happened to find 2 cold skillers. Again, probably fairly lucky, normally speaking. By the time you get to 85, you're unlikely to have found 2 skillers, but you know, you never know your luck. Other than that, they're just resists and life, basically just trying to pump. I think it becomes a lot easier to survive once you get your life pool over about 1,000 as a Sorc. So that's kind of where we're aiming for, and then just some small resists. I always carry Town Portal and Identify. I know people don't do it, but I just always like having plenty of ID scrolls. I like having plenty of Town Portal scrolls, and I keep the cube just for the extra inventory space. But yeah, that's it. So the idea is I would build this character like this again on ladder 2. I'm then going to farm Sunder Charms. I will hopefully have only used 1 respec to build this character. Maybe it's 2, it depends whether you want to make your Nightmare playthrough a little easier for a second respec, but I think you can definitely build this with only 1 respec, and that's great, because it means that if you do happen to find yourself a Fire Sunder Charm first, we might respec at that point, go completely all in on Hydra, max it out, max all the synergies, and then farm all the Terror Zones, breaking the fire resistance and crushing stuff until you ultimately find yourself a cold Sunder Charm to swap on to Blizzard Sorceress, which I think is ultimately probably what I want to play next season. But yeah, all in all, a fairly good time of it, and really looking forward to it, because it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's the build guide. As I say, we're going to have a full starter guide with how to kind of get yourself through normal, how to get through Nightmare, where to put your points, where to put your skills and all that. Should be coming out hopefully soon. But this is the Hydra Orb Sorceress, I guess, which is, as I say, a lot of fun to play and very nice for magic finding. I think, did we do the stats? I'm not sure we did the advanced stats. Magic find, how much we got? 134%. Enough to get you going in a season, and obviously as you go you're going to push this figure up close to 200. Fast hit recovery 130. I think the faster cast rate breakpoint is 63, so anything over that is absolutely golden. We obviously have made it with the 2 spirits in the ring, and then if you can get absorbs, absolutely brilliant. You know, you just take them up where you can get them. Right, hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're excited for the 6th/7th of October, which is when the ladder launches. I'm going to play it a bit this season. Yeah, going to be an awful lot of fun. Take it easy, guys. Peace.